Hey, church, I am going to talk to you a little bit about Holy Week. Tonight, we are going to have a service of Tenebrae, and we've got a few other services coming up in the next few days that you can follow along with at home. So, a few things that you are going to need to follow along. First is going to be a prayer book. If you don't have a prayer book, that's okay. We have the liturgies available on our website, which I'll show you in a second. The biggest thing that we want out of the prayer book are the Psalms. Now, if you don't have a prayer book, that's okay, because Psalms are also in a Bible. I'm sure that you've got one of those two things there. If you really don't have either of those, you can go to a website like Bible Gateway, and you can look up those scriptures as we get to them. So that's what you're going to need from a book standpoint. Now, if you already have these, this might be a little bit less challenging of a scavenger hunt, or you might be able to find these on your next grocery run. But Tenebrae uses some candles, so I'm going to have some candles that I will light for this service. You don't have to have all 15 candles. You could just have maybe one candle. Now, one candle would be enough to follow along. Tomorrow for our Maundy Thursday service, since we're not going to do a traditional foot washing, maybe you want to do a foot washing with just your family or your roommates, whoever you're living with. Or if you're like me and you live on your own, you can wash your own feet, or you can wash your own hands. So for that, you're going to need a bowl. It doesn't have to be anything special. This one's from IKEA. Just a plain bowl and a towel. And the purpose for the towel should be obvious. Once you get your hands or your feet wet, I'm going to wipe those off so we don't get water all over the place. On Friday, we're going to have our Good Friday service. We'll have a Stations of the Cross service that we stream at noon. You don't need anything for that. But what we will do in the evening service is we'll have a chance to venerate the cross. And so you may have a cross of your own hanging on your wall, or connected, it's attached to your favorite rosary or your prayer beads, something small and handheld like this maybe. That's all you need to be able to do that, is venerate the cross in some form. And then lastly, we will have services on Saturday. There's a service of Holy Saturday, which is a very quiet, very simple service of prayer. But then Saturday night, we have the great vigil of Easter. And we're going to be missing a lot of the normal elements that we'd have when we be able to get together. But we are still going to celebrate and try to bring some of that Easter joy into our homes together. So what we want for that is a bell. And maybe you have a bell like this, or one that's bigger, or one that's smaller. We're going to annoy our neighbors a little bit maybe, but we're going to celebrate some of that Easter joy. If you don't have a bell like that, maybe you have a box of Christmas decorations up in the garage or in a closet somewhere that you can raid. And maybe you have a jingle bell. And that would work just as well in helping us to express our joy as we make our Easter proclamation on Saturday night. And of course, Sunday, we will be doing morning prayer as usual, but it's going to be a little bit different since it's going to be Easter morning prayer. So just a few things: a candle, a bowl and a towel, a cross and a bell are all that you need to follow along. So let's switch now, and I'm going to show you how to find those liturgies that I mentioned. Okay, we are on our church website, and if you scroll down just a little bit, this area will change. So when we don't have a service going, we'll have the video from the last service posted up here. Ordinarily, when we're getting ready to have a service, though, we will have the live stream right here. So all you have to do to follow along with the service is just go to our website and watch for that video to pop up, and you can view it right from there. Now, for Holy Week, there are a lot of services, and if you want to follow along at home, you can download those PDFs here. So let's look at Tenebrae. I've got this one already open here. So this is what you'll find. This is a printable PDF. You can print this out on your own. It is 10 pages. I know that's a lot, So maybe you just want to pull this open on your iPad or something and follow along. You are welcome to log on and watch me light candles and extinguish candles as we go through these readings. But if you feel like it might be better to close the screen, you could do this service all by yourself. It's easy to do. There's a lot of reading, so you're going to need your Bible or your prayer book to read through the Psalms. And then, like I said, there's 15 candles. Each one gets extinguished throughout the service, except for the last one. So we've got this little diamond symbol that means this is the point to extinguish the candle. So you'd read the antiphon, the psalm, and then extinguish the candle at the end of the psalm. And so you see we have 3 on this page. And then some more readings, some responses, some more readings, and then another psalm, and then we extinguish the 4th candle, and then a psalm in the 5th. Makes sense? Okay. So it's a long service. It's very meditative. And normally this service is done in darkness, so that the only light that's present is those candles. So what I'd invite you to do is turn off as many lights in your house as is safe to do so. We don't want you tripping over anything, but turn off as many lights as you can and really sit in that darkness, contemplate in that light with us. When we get to the end of the service, I'll scroll down so you can see this. There is one candle that is not extinguished. You read a psalm, and then the remaining candle is not extinguished. It's taken from the stand and hidden. Typically what we'll do is we could hide this behind the altar, or we would put this in the sacristy. And then we have an anthem and another psalm, and then a prayer that we say together. And then at the end of all that, that remaining candle is brought back out. And by its light, we end the service in silence. So it's a service that helps us to meditate on the shadows, which in Latin is tenebrae. Tenebrae is Latin for shadows. It helps us to meditate on the shadows that surround that light that never goes out. Okay. You'll see some other services on here. So let's look at Maundy Thursday. Maundy, by the way, is kind of a nickname for the service from the Latin word mandatum, commandment. This is the service where we remember Jesus giving his disciples a new commandment, a new mandatum. And so it is Mandatum Thursday or Maundy Thursday. And there are 2 things that are important about this service. Normally it's the washing of the feet and the institution of the Eucharist, the Last Supper. Since we can't celebrate the Last Supper together, we're going to focus on the washing of the feet and the ways that Christ's love cleanses us, working its way from the outside in, washing off the dust of the road, the dust of the everyday life, and invites us into a love that is beyond. So we're going to follow through this service, and we will do that. Feasting not on the Last Supper, but we will feast on the Word and on the love that we have been commanded to live in. Good Friday. We're going to have Solemn Collects and Veneration of the Cross. This is going to be our evening service. So we've got a few readings here. This is going to be pretty easy to follow along with. Again, the only thing that you need for this service is going to be a cross. We will also have a Stations of the Cross at noon that you can follow along with, but that's not a printable PDF. That's just a, hey, log on and watch thing. Holy Saturday. This will also happen at noon on Saturday, and this service commemorates the time when Christ is in the tomb. And we think about what that means. Maybe there's some sorrow attached for that, and maybe that reminds us of some sorrows of our own and people that we miss. And yes, that is the loss and the emptiness of human experience that Jesus fully experienced because he was fully human as well as fully divine. And he can inhabit that grief with us and sit with us in our sadness. But then the great thing is we will get to the evening of Saturday and we will celebrate the great vigil of Easter together. And we will light our candles. We can't light our Paschal candle together, the real big one that we use when we get together. But we will light our own candles, and we will focus on how we are the light of the world as we have been taught by Christ himself, and how we have been given grace through God's saving deeds in history. So there are a number of stories that recount this that are a major part of the vigil, where we recount these amazing stories of what God has done for us, the story of creation, the story of the flood, of Israel's deliverance at the Red Sea, the gathering of God's people. And then we will renew our baptismal vows, because that is a thing that we can do without being together even. Maybe you have a small container of water on your home altar or by the door at your home that you use to remind yourself of your baptism. We're going to have a chance to renew our baptismal vows together. Even though we are apart, we are not alone. And then we will say our prayers together. Finally, on Easter morning, this Sunday morning, we will celebrate. We will absolutely celebrate together. So that's how you find all the liturgies that you're going to need to follow along with. If you have a prayer book, that can be helpful for following along with the Psalms, but it's not, it's okay if you don't. You can get by with just a Bible. Some of these you can do on your own, but I hope that you will log in and follow along with us and join in. And know that I am praying for each of you as we walk through this time of remembering Christ's great love for us, as we observe his willingness to fully inhabit human experience, his willingness even to suffer death, as we prepare to celebrate the surprising joy and hope of his resurrection. All right, folks. Love you very much. Take care, stay safe, wash those hands, and keep in prayer.